think that's a little bit of ham and bean soup from dinner.
Yeah, I didn't get a physical one.
I didn't either.
What'd you say?
All I did was print it off the nose. That were, I
Yep.
Hi, Lori. I looked at them, but I didn't print them off. Okay, so. Agenda over.
I love ham and beans.
You're on.
It's time.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. If we can all please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask Linda to call the roll, and then we'll take care of a procedural thing about who's actually sitting up front here.
Councilor Mark Hammer. Councilor Adam Cohen.
Here.
Councilor Stacy Langdon.
Here.
Councilor Veronica Pedrell.
Here.
Councilor Cody Eckert.
Here.
Councilor Dave Murray.
Here.
And Councilor Jacob Weidner.
Here.
So earlier today, the mayor reached out to both Mark and me. He said he'd be unable to make it tonight. Mark is unable to make it tonight, so he called me and asked if I would come back up front. But we really don't have a procedure when we get this far down the chain. So I don't want to make an assumption. I don't even know what the right thing to do is. I'm happy to sit here if somebody wants to object or if we want to make a motion. But I agreed to get us this far into the meeting.
Adam, I'm happy to move that you carry tonight's meeting for us.
And I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Can't be
Aye.
not
Anybody
too
opposed?
long, okay? Like, we're not here till 10 o'clock.
That's the one
Okay?
stipulation.
Just want to point out,
Well, the
Mark's not here.
statute does set out how to do it up to Mark's position.
Right.
And then it stops.
That's what I mean.
So it really doesn't
It doesn't
say
cover
after
this.
that, yeah.
My meetings were always shorter, and Rod's already been warned. All righty. So the first part of the meeting tonight is public petitions and comments, and I see one hand going up. So if you want to come forward and introduce yourself, and have those been handed to us already, Scott?
Here we go. I'll get you.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we're good to go.
All right. I am Maya Shannon. I attend DePaul University as a member of the class of 2022. I'm from Morris, Illinois, and I'm also a member of the women's basketball team. I'm coming tonight on behalf of the DePaul University Student Athletic Advisory Committee. SAC is hosting a mental health 5K on Saturday, April 10th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and proceeds will go to the Mental Health America of Putnam County. This week is Division III week throughout the country, and it's a celebration of Division III athletics. We plan to host this event entirely on DePaul property. However, with a recent event reported in the DePaul Nature Park, Chief Shrewsbury was uncomfortable approving our original race route. We are here today with short notice with a request to change our race route. Registration and start will be at the Tiger, West Hannah Street, near the entrance to the Indoor Tennis and Track Center. Participants will then run east on West Hannah Street, turning north onto Madison Street. Whenever possible, participants will be directed to run on the sidewalks. Volunteers will be at intersections of Madison and Hannah to help direct runners and signal oncoming traffic to stop or slow down in the presence of participants. They will then go west on Hill Street, passing the baseball field on the right. There will be a volunteer at the corner of Madison and Hill, again to direct runners and ensure oncoming traffic is stopped or slowed in the presence of participants. Participants will go south behind the indoor track and tennis facility, then circle east past the softball field at the Blackstock parking lot. Participants will be directed to run north on the westernmost side of the parking lot. We have asked DePaul Police to close this portion of the lot for their safety of our participants. They will then move to Madison Street and complete this loop a second and third time. For the third time, participants will go down Madison and enter Blackstock Stadium at the northeast gate, circling the track 1.5 times to finish. We recognize that the volunteers are important to have the operations and safety of the event. We have selected a route that is primarily DePaul-owned and less traveled in our community. There are no scheduled home athletic events between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday, so we do not expect additional traffic from athletic events. While we will have some teams departing from the Hannah Circle, they will do so well before the start of the event. We will have signage around the course, and a waiver will be signed before participating. All DePaul COVID guidelines and regulations will be in place and enforced. Participants walking within 6 feet of others will need to be masked. They are jogging or running. They will not be required to wear masks, but they must be distanced from others. We have talked with Chief Shrewsbury of DePaul Public Safety, and we have emailed Chief Sutherland with the route.
So basically, you're asking for a rolling street closure, which we've done before. It's going to be staffed by DePaul students. These are minor streets, so we've done that before. The only thing we want to make sure of, and Lori can give you her card, is that whatever waiver you sign, because you're on city streets, includes the correct language, right, Lori?
And we want to be included as an additional insured for any insurance that you have for the course.
Stevie will know how to do that.
Okay.
Just
I'll get you my card before you go.
All right, perfect.
We'll have to go, sir.
so, I'll entertain a motion or questions.
I got a simple question I think you can answer. Do you, in the event that, I assume you do, but do you have like backup volunteers in case somebody needs to bail or get sick or?
Our athletic advisory board, our whole executive team will be there all day.
So you have more
Other
than
volunteers
enough?
signed up, but there will be about 10 of us there from start to finish.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Because your presentation is as good as your basketball skills, I will make the motion that we approve the request.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Just get the card from Lori, and then just make sure that whoever's in charge emails Lori a copy of the waiver and the insurance.
All right, perfect.
Am I right, Lori?
Thank
All
you.
right. All right, so now we're moving on to the next one, which is a special closure request for DePaul University commencement. And Tony, how many years have you been making this request?
2.
I think more, but go ahead.
A few.
A few.
Good evening. For the first time in 39 years that I can attest to, we have moved commencement. We are going to have commencement at Revis Stadium due to this thing we call COVID. So we have a plan in place. It's been approved by the state, approved by the local health department to have graduation at Revis, which then takes me from my traditional request to close Hannah Street by the Union Building to closing Madison Street between Hannah and Hill Street so that we can reduce traffic in that location, safely line up students so that we can maintain social distancing as we're coming into Revis Stadium. That will happen twice, once for the class of 21 and once for the class of 2020 2 weeks later. So I think both are listed on the form. So that is our request. Questions?
Anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion, we close the streets as described on May 23rd and June 6th for commencement.
All those in, we need a second. I'm a little rusty.
Second that motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
All right, we have a request for a 5K event, which we've also had before. Welcome back.
I'm Julie Carr. I'm part of a Kinetic Change, a nonprofit, and I'm here with 2 requests tonight. The first is for our annual 5K, and that is to be held this June the 12th. And this year, it's the same route. I called and left a message with Tom Sutherland, and we don't actually close the streets. We just ask for some police officers to be at 3 different points along the route just to help runners cross safely. We're hoping to have a hybrid event this year. The first 6 years were in person, last year virtual, and so this year we're hoping June 12th that we could have a hybrid so that we could possibly be able to have in person, safely, socially distanced, and those that would choose could join virtually. And it's our same Camo America rainbow themed run. The same route starts from Deer Meadow, goes Sherwood Addition, comes back up the People's Pathway, and ends at Deer Meadow. So it's just a big loop. And I'm just asking permission to use the People's Pathway and to get some assistance from our police department, the same request that we've had.
Tom, are you online?
He said he would be tonight, and I did have a chance, he was out most of the day at training, but I did have a chance to talk to him about it briefly.
I just left a message. I didn't.
Yeah, he
Pardon me?
said, well, he was out, so.
Okay.
I don't want to say his number.
Yeah, I don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah, it always
in a
comes
nine.
up unknown.
And probably coming up with you as I know. Tom, if you're online and you can text me, because we had trouble with his voice last time, but.
He didn't seem to have any objection.
I'm sure he won't. One quick question.
Yes.
People that want to register,
Yes.
how, we want to go over that one more time, because we do have a TV and a Zoom audience that
Oh,
follows
nice.
us.
For right now, I would say to visit our Facebook page, A Kinetic Change, and the live registration isn't up just yet, but it will be soon. But to find out about the nonprofit, about events, our Facebook is probably the easiest way to gain information about the actual 5K on June 12th. And then my second request is about a golf scramble in August, so they could find out about those things.
Okay, and Tom just texted me, he's online, and he has no objections.
Question, Julie.
Yes.
Okay, so you have time event is 5 to 8, but then start time and end time for closure is 6 to 7?
The actual race is like 6 to 7.
Okay, all right.
But we'll have people there starting around 5.
Got it.
And then a little bit to take things down. And
Okay. But the race is at 6,
the race
if
is
people
at
want to
6,
race.
6
Okay.
p.m. Thank you for
Because
clarifying
I need to
that.
know when I'm at the water station for the 7th year in a row, okay? I'm putting it on my calendar.
So, those are some of our high points.
I'd be glad to make a motion to approve the,
I'm proud that you put this on, and you do so many great things for us. It's great. How many?
Thank you
How
so
many
much.
people? Like 100, don't you, or something?
That's
Participate?
probably our rough.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's been more, sometimes it's been a little fewer.
Yeah.
But the 5K, I would say 100 is probably a good.
I'd like to say well done, and it's a wonderful event.
Thank you. It takes a lot of team effort, a lot of group support. So thank you.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. All righty, and same things, you've done this so many times, I don't need to tell you, but you know the whole deal on insurance and getting with Lori. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. That's it. Thank you very much.
I have a second request.
Yes, I move to approve the closure on August 28th for the golf scramble after celebration.
And my apologies, we should have done that as one. Go ahead, Dave, you want to
I
make
have one clarification. That is the same day as the Greencastle Music Fest, that Saturday, Friday, Saturday. And I don't know whether that's a problem or not, but
Is it
not
the same
ideal.
time? Is it the
Given
same-
location,
Oh, yeah,
Is it?
It's a different location, but it might affect your,
yeah,
turnout.
Yeah.
you don't want your turnout to be hurt. Did you have a rain date too? As an alternate?
Planning on beautiful weather, so.
so wait, the date of that was what again, May?
It's the weekend before Labor Day weekend.
Right.
Saturday, August 28th.
August.
And
Oh, August.
So what we could do is we could approve it tonight, and then you could, if you want to go look at that date,
Okay.
or we could table it tonight, and you could look at that date.
So it would be all right to host it, it just might not be in our best interest. Would there be conflict or,
I mean, traditionally, spaces aren't the same. We do try not to,
okay,
but there's no reason we would stop it that I'm aware of.
okay.
More, it might affect your or their turnout, right, Lori?
Yeah, well, there's no reason to deny it, because
Presumably
there's
the
another
people-
thing going on.
presumably the
But-
people at the golf scramble will want to come to the post-celebration. The question is, how many people will you get for a golf scramble on the same weekend as Greencastle Music Fest?
That I can't answer.
Again, we could table this, or we could approve it, and then you can just come back and change the date. You don't have to come back.
Okay, if that would work, we could go ahead with it and plan on it, and then I can go back and see if the rest of the board says maybe a better date.
Is that,
Did we have a second?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and second.
good catch, Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I don't know if I'm supposed to vote or not, Lori.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, motion passes.
Okay, thank you so much on both counts. See you June 12th, 6 PM.
I think we have one more. Joseph, sorry, I didn't see you standing way back there. I don't have my glasses on. So I'm texting Joseph, where are you? He's right over there.
I'm easy to miss.
If you want to just introduce yourself.
My name is Joseph Harris. How y'all doing this evening? I am the current coordinator for the Center for Diversity and Inclusion at DePaul University, and I am coming with you to here tonight to ask for a noise ordinance request. We are co-hosting and hosting an event with the Association for African American Students on Saturdays, April 10th, April 24th, and May 8th. They plan on having a get-together for the students and for their organization. They plan on having music. The time will be from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., but the location will be at the CDI, and the music will be facing into the university and not out into the community. The CDI also is located in an area that doesn't really affect a lot of, there's not a lot of community members. It's closer to mostly housing for this university.
All right. Again, normally we ask that the music face into the organization.
Yep.
I can't think of any residential houses down there, but if there are, we would ask you to notify them. And you know that the noise thing is not a total free get out of jail.
Yep.
If the police say shut it down, or we get complaints,
Yep.
goes down.
Is it open to the public, or is it just for students?
Yeah,
Just
it's
students?
just for students. And I will be staff on duty that night, so I'll be there on call as well.
For councils, that's usually all we require, but
You're going to do this on 3 different dates, it looks like.
Yep, that's the 10th, the 24th, and the 8th, all Saturdays.
I move to approve the noise ordinance waiver request for the 3 dates, April 10th, April 24th, and May 8th.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
How do you pronounce the name of the event?
I was going to ask that.
I pronounce it Shake That Triple AS.
Okay,
That's how I
gotcha.
pronounce it.
Gotcha.
I wasn't even going to go there.
We all know what it really means.
Well, you know, marketing.
Marketing. Sounds like a fun couple nights
Yeah.
for younger kids.
Well
Yeah,
played.
yeah.
Well played, Cody.
All right, any other questions? With that in mind, we have motions, we have seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Awesome. You are set to go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. All right, moving on. Do we have any others? No? All right. So we are now moving to a public hearing on the vacating of the partial alleyway at 727 Main Street and 713 Main Street. And I'm going to turn this over to Scott.
Good
Away
evening.
we go.
I'm Scott Zimmerman, Greencastle City Planner. Also with us this evening are Matt Silbert from Corvid Industries, Abby Rhodes, legal counsel for Corvid Industries, and I'm sorry I did not get your... Craig Allison with Corvid Industries. However, I'll present the information, but I wanted to point out the petitioners are present this evening. This is a request to vacate the 20-foot alley between the former Third Degree Bar at 713 Main and the former Toppers, now Old Union Barbecue at 727 Main. Both of those properties are owned by Corvid Industries, so they own the adjoining lots to the alley. This request will facilitate development of improved parking for that new establishment. Per Indiana code, the abutting property owners were given notice of the request. No objections have been received, in part due to the fact that the northwest alley in that block will remain open. Therefore, it is not cutting off ingress or egress to any of the surrounding properties. The Technical Review Committee conducted a utility review on April 1st, last week, and determined no easements are necessary since no utilities are documented in the alley by any of the utilities. Therefore, staff recommendation is for approval of the vacation.
All right, since this is a public hearing, we would invite the public. Eric? First, if they want to say anything or ask anything.
What will actually happen to the alley as a result of our action?
It's anticipated that this would be developed into improved parking for the facility.
But
Half it, the statute treats it that it's cut down the middle. Half goes to the parties on this side, and half goes to the parties on that side. They own both. So, so it will go to Corvid Industries regardless. But I think you're going to change it into one parcel at some point. But for now, it's going to go to those two separate parcels.
so can I still drive through that alleyway?
No, it will be gone.
Okay.
But our point is that to access any of the other properties on the rest of the block, there are still the full north-south alley, and there is the smaller section on the east side.
Gotcha.
You can cut through their new parking lot.
Yeah.
That's what will happen at some point.
And just for a reminder to council, this does reappear to us under new business
Right.
at some point, so.
If there aren't any other questions, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, anybody object to that? Any objections to closing the public hearing? All those in favor of closing the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, public hearing is closed, and we'll see you back in a couple minutes. All right, we move from there to department reports. Rod is in the house and already heading up. He and I have had a talk before the meeting. He understands the rules.
Concise.
Well, that's my report. Our park board meeting was last night, so my department head report I left on your desk, okay? I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm not going to cover the whole thing, but I am going to point out that if you get time, take a tour of our park system. We've had a lot of improvements going on between the Greencastle Aquatic Center and Roban Park, and the Little League area and soccer field area at Big Walnut Sports Park, between the new pavement, new parking lot, new dugouts, and fences along the soccer fields. I think you'll be impressed. It really dresses up the area. Then I do want to point out that we've had some new programs. On the very last page of the packet, you'll see that we have included the police boot camp between the Greencastle Park and Recreation, working alongside the Greencastle Police Department. We've locked in this program, and we're hoping to run that program along with others following the Putnam County Public Health Guidelines at the time. Okay, but we have locked that in. You've got that registration form. We covered reviewed some of our recreation programs, but there is one that I'd like to, well, just kind of highlight, and then I'm done. We've had some, with Easter now done, we have some Easter baskets and chocolate bunnies left over, so we're going to do the Great Bunny Hunt one more time. And if I may, for the benefit of the people in the audience, and like I said, I won't take up too much of your time.
Go right ahead.
But game number 4, clue number 1, which was released today. Easter was last Sunday, but we still have some prizes left over. Buffalo Wild Wings baskets and some bunnies by Russell Stover. Out to the park go the 2 rabbits one more time, back to the game and thinking in rhyme. Scooting these 2 rabbits right out the door, this is the first time we played game number 4. Which of the 9 parks did we choose for this one? We promise a little bit harder, but just as fun. tomorrow morning, and I'm going to, now we get the hint, because I'm going to release clue number 2, which will be released on Facebook tomorrow. Remembering the 9 parks previously given, which of the 2 choices are the rabbits hidden? Are they new places or are they old? If you choose small, you start off cold. So that's the hint we'll release tomorrow. To the benefit of our watchers on TV, they get an early start. Okay? So yes, we do have 2 baskets left over from Buffalo Wild Wings. Each of them has a chocolate bunny by Russell Stover in it, to the first person returning the bunnies to us. Okay?
Excited for summer? I give you a lot of grief, but you guys do a lot of great programs. Are we excited for a little closer to normal summer?
Okay. And again, in my previous reports, I apologize that I've been gone the last 2 city council meetings, but yes, we are looking at trying to get back to as normal as possible, offering the programs that we would normally do, but following the guidelines underneath the Putnam County Health Department. Okay? So,
Rod, is all the work on the pool going to be done by the time we would possibly open the pool?
okay, remember we're opening Saturday Memorial Day weekend, which is roughly, what?
I just drive by there and I see people working all the time, which is
roughly May
great.
29th, I think. We are planning on opening that weekend. Everything should be completed with the exception, possibly, of the installation of the shallow entry, beach entry, 3 little geysers that we have ordered, but they should be in and installed. But those are the only if-buts, depending on what production does and what happens with, just like everything else. People need help, shipment, and yeah, so.
Good.
Okay, but yes, we are planning on doing that. At this time, we're planning on opening and holding our programs as normal. All right?
Yesterday, my wife Sue and I went over to look at internal development, and they're rerouting traffic and all kinds of things. And one of the things I said to Rod was, I'm hopeful that he will come back at our May meeting before the pool opens and detail the safety protocols. Apparently Franklin, Indiana, their pool was open all last summer. No traceable COVID cases, but I think it would behoove Rod and his staff to let the public know how this is going to work and that it's going to work safely, because that will, I think, perhaps help his attendance.
Right. Yeah, I have no problem with that. We'll cover the whole summer, but please note I get more than a few minutes, okay?
You'll get more than a few minutes in May. Somebody else will be sitting here.
All right. Well, anybody have any questions for me? All right, then everybody enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Rod, very much. Do we have any other department heads that are online, or Tom, if you need to text me, that have any other reports they want to give? Hearing none, the department heads are free to sign off and go enjoy their evening. And we will move on to reports. Obviously, we don't have a mayor's report, so
we do, but we do.
You do.
Lori's going to do it.
He called and asked me to mention, although some of the COVID restrictions have been lifted, we still require masks at City Hall when we're open to the public. Also, next month you'll be seeing an ordinance covering the CARES Act funding that the city received. We have to attach a plan to that, and right now of how we're going to spend it. We could have set up the fund. It has to set up a fund and have a plan on how it's going to be spent. We don't have a whole lot of guidance yet on what we're allowed to spend it on. Some very broad categories. So right now our plan would be very broad. So we think by next month we should be getting more guidance on that. So we'll have that for you next time. We should be hearing about the Okra grant by next month. Big Walnut Sports Project should be complete by our next meeting. And he also wanted me to mention the mass vaccination that's going to be taking place. I guess they had it was a huge success at DePaul last week, and they're going to be having another one. And Eric, you may have the details on that. It's at South Putt.
April 17th.
Yes.
Putnam.
It's April 17th, I believe, at South Putt.
9 to 5 is
9
what
to
I saw
5,
in
yeah.
the memo.
Yeah.
And they are looking for volunteers. If you reach out to any of the city councilmen, we've got an email saying how you can volunteer.
That's
They
it.
have 1,400 doses to hand
And this will
out.
be the Moderna 2-dose regime.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Lori. So we're going to move that over now to our clerk treasurer.
So the only thing I have is to remind everybody that April 24th at 8 o'clock will be our heavy trash day for the city. Everybody that is eligible for that should have received a very detailed letter. It pointed out our heavy trash day, what you can bring and dispose of. Also, that same day, at the upper part of the high school parking lot, will be Drug Take-Back Day. That's been a very successful program here in our community, and Tom Sutherland will be handling that. And then also, you would have received information about Toxaway Day, which is a couple weeks later. And there was one other thing, and I just drew a blank. What was in the letter? But anyways, also on our heavy trash day, you will be able to take yard waste out to the solid waste district disposable place out by Peeler, not Peeler, the sports park, or Prindle, and we'll be out there. You can take it out that way. It's back behind the county garage and dispatch. So that will be open. You'll just need to provide your utility bill or the letter that we sent you. So that will be open for yard waste. No yard waste at the high school parking lot.
Do you still need volunteers on the 24th?
No, I think we're pretty good with that.
Okay.
The heavy trash take-back is from 8 to noon, as I recall.
8 to noon.
And the drug take-back, though, is 10 to noon?
Yes.
Okay.
And for people who aren't familiar with the drug take-back, I don't know, Tom's off, but we've done that for a number of years. It's pretty much no questions asked. You show up, whatever drugs are in a sealed-up bag or whatever, you give to the police. They take it up to Indy a day or two later and have it properly destroyed. So it's a great way to get rid of unused prescriptions or anything else you want to use. We really encourage you not to throw that down the toilets and into the water system.
And you can also take it to the police station on
Yes.
any day that they're open
Any day.
to drop stuff off.
And that is also no questions asked. There's a secure drop box there. I think it's sponsored by one of our local businesses, but I don't want to say it because I'm not 100% sure. All right, we'll move over. Anything else for Linda? Okay, we'll move over to council reports. I guess I'll just go first. I don't know if anybody noticed in the multiple emails we get from the state, but there is a law working its way through the state legislature dealing with Zoom council meetings. The state is going to set minimum standards, and then we are free to create additional standards. We can't go less than the state, but we can go forward. So at some point, we all should be thinking and maybe have a discussion about what do we consider to be acceptable for council members being here, not being here, those things. I don't think we have to do it now because I don't believe the state law is finalized, and so I don't know what the minimums are, but it's just something that will probably be coming up to us for the end of the summer.
Yeah, I was going to say, jinx, Adam, you owe me a Coke because I was going to talk about that. So that was House Bill 1437. That just got concurred upon with the Senate changes today, and it makes its way to the governor's desk. But yeah, it will give us a bit more flexibility. I think it will probably at least allow 3 of our folks to show up telephonically.
If we choose to.
If they choose to, and there will be stipulations that there will be types of meetings that you'll have to be present for. Those are kind of the high-stakes meetings where it behooves us to be in front of the voters when we make the decision.
Well, I think it'll be an interesting discussion because we can become stricter. We can't go less, so we could say, no, you have to be here. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't. I'm just saying I think all of us need to begin to think through how do we want to handle the new. Another question will be is like we require our petitioners to come before us. Would we allow them to Zoom in?
I'm excited to have the conversation. I think it's going to be really beneficial, especially as more people are able to tune in on their phones and watch a city council meeting. It just increases access for everybody.
And we might probably want to bring our tech people in because we can certainly up our game with not a lot of money investment. And I'm looking at Veronica, but she will tell us it would not be hard to put a screen in here. And
could be done.
very inexpensively. So store that away. There is, already mentioned, the clinic that's going on the 17th. There was a smaller mass clinic out at Walmart last Wednesday. Really, at this point, people in Putnam County who want a shot are able to get a shot. And having gone through 2 shots, I will tell you that it is extremely liberating once you clear that point. I was able to see my mom for the first time in over a year and not worry about it. So I encourage people strongly to do it. If people out there in the community are having trouble registering, if you're not totally computer savvy and you have trouble, I'm sure if you reach out to a younger sibling, you reach out to your council person, somebody will be able to help you get registered, or just call the phone number and they'll get you registered. But we want to make it clear that there's a lot of things, and a shout out to the Putnam County Health Department. They've done a great job, and that mass vaccine clinic at DePaul, I worked it, and I will tell you it was not just DePaul people there. I was there about 4 or 5 hours. In the first hour of the morning, there wasn't a single DePaul person. It was community members. People drove in from all over the state. So it was a pretty good feat to get that many people through one vaccine clinic in a small city like ours. And that is really what I have. Stacey?
I just want to echo what Adam said about the clinic and DePaul and Board of Health. It was a wonderful joint effort. It was so smooth. It was well run. And yeah, there were people from Avon, there were people from Bloomington, there were people from Illinois that we talked to that came. And it's just a real nice thing for the DePaul folks to do. And I was real impressed. I thought it was very smooth. And yep. And now we just continue. We got the one in South Putt, which is great. And hopefully we'll get as many people vaccinated as possible.
1,850 at DePaul. 700 plus of our students we know of are registered. It's probably higher than that that have been vaccinated. So we're getting there.
Yeah, that's it.
Everybody's covered everything that I've had top of mind. I'll just echo Adam's thoughts about what it's going to feel like for me when I get my second shot next Wednesday. The day after I get my second one of my 26-year-old sons gets his first one. And he's the one who's living under my roof with me, and we've been seeing altogether too much of each other. But my other 26-year-old son, because they're twins, I haven't seen him in person in over a year. We've just been doing virtual things here and there, and I can't wait to see him, and he should be fully vaccinated by Memorial Day, and we're so looking forward to some family time, all of us. Mm-hmm.
No updates from me other than Matt and Craig being here. You're bringing most of the excitement that we have in the 4th Ward. So I'm glad you're here to talk more about that later on. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for being here, and I'm looking forward to. So I started with Breadworks, and I'm starting to etch my initials into my table there for the weekly sushi night. So I'm excited to go pick out a table. Yeah.
If you do it on the bar, that one's not new.
Perfect.
What are your hours?
Sorry?
What are the hours?
Right now, we're doing 3 to 10, 11, depending on how many people are in
And what days of the week?
Monday through Friday, and then Saturday we're open 11 till last call.
I'll be there soon. All right, Dave?
I don't have anything beyond what's already been mentioned.
I'd just like to draw attention to Eric Vaughn and thank him for his 16 and a half years of service with the police department. I didn't have a chance to get to know him personally, but anybody that's dedicated to a community in that role for 16 and a half years, I think it's important to recognize their dedication. And I guess tomorrow is the last day GPD, based on the memo that I saw, is accepting applications for that vacancy. So encourage anybody in the community that has an interest in applying that has not already to get that in as soon as possible, and look forward to seeing who we have to fill that vacancy. So
Eric's been involved in community stuff for a long time. When he was a kid and I was still running the sports park, he was one of the umpires. He'd be out there every night in the Little League and softball fields calling balls and strikes and talking to the kids. So he's done a lot over the years. All right, any other things under council reports? Moving along from there, we have approval of the minutes from the March 11th meeting. And I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented from the March 11th meeting.
I will second that motion.
All righty.
Did those meetings say that I had the technical issues? Was that what that said? Because I did not have the technical
It did say
issue.
that.
It was inflicted upon me, I'm pretty sure. But it's fine. I'll let it slide. It's good.
We have a motion.
It is true, because we've had that issue with lots of
Lots of meetings, so.
I don't know if that constituted a second.
Sort of.
Somebody would have seconded.
I thought Jake did.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we have a
I'll
second.
second.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And you're not the only one. Tom is texting.
Yeah, Tom's had a bunch too.
Yeah, Tom is texting with me here. All righty. From there, we go to the approval of city claims, and I'll turn it over to Dave, who does a great job with this.
Payroll for the past month was $486,599.85. Pension, $18,508.98. Direct payables totaling $327,590.33. There's some noteworthy ones in here. Spiker Excavating was paid $15,223 for a whole bunch of sidewalks that they've been working on. They also have a separate one for, let's see here, $27,102.98 for all the work they did on the dugouts at the Little League ball field. We have the usual Republic services for trash and recycling at $22,875. Civil engineering, we had 5 different invoices totaling $11,331.13, and that was for work they did on Locust Street, Columbia Street parking lot, Zinc Mill Road, and Big Walnut. We had a $27,411.90 payment to First National Bank on a police car loan. And I believe those are the major ones on direct payables. When we switch over to the accounts payable, there's a payment to Boyle Construction for exterior work on the Aquatic Center of $54,819.04. Civil engineering appears again, $3,775 for design work on Roban Park. Co-Alliance, $6,115.19 for city fuel. We had Park Engineering, HWC Engineering of $3,322.50. And I think those were the major expenditures. So I will make a motion that all 4 of those items be approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other comments or questions?
I do go through and Google some of these companies just to make sure they're real and we don't have that situation going on with all the Queen's horses of that, that Illinois town, just to make sure we don't have any shadow holdings out there. But Intoximeters Inc. was an interesting one. I like the name of that one. Yeah, I assume we got new breathalyzers. I just have to assume. Yeah,
We did.
That's right.
We
Very
got
nice.
new, test strips, so.
I used to do that early on. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
Linda, unlike Cody, I have complete confidence in you.
And Linda does I really like the way you present them to us now online, and it's much easier. I didn't get through them this month because it was a little short. But normally, it's so much nicer to go through it the way, and you have it nicely organized. And Dave, you do a great job with that. So we have a motion. We have a second.
Mm-hmm.
With that, any other comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right. So that takes us to old business, and we have ordinance 2021-6 on second reading. And I'll entertain a motion for that, then we can have discussion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
All right, do we have any discussion, any questions for Scott? Okay. Hearing none, and realizing this is Veronica's district, I'll call for the vote. Does anybody, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, motion carries. All right, so moving on to new business, we're going to do it a little differently tonight since I only found out I'm up here about an hour ago. We're going to have the person kind of in charge read and take care of their own ordinance as we go around the room. And we're starting with Scott. This is ordinance 2021-7 on first reading, and we've already had the public hearing. So, yeah.
We're both vaccinated.
Ordinance 2021-07, an ordinance approving the vacation of partial alleyway 727 Main Street and 713 Main Street located in the city of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana. Whereas the petitioner, Corbin Industries Incorporated, is the owner of certain real estate which is located in an area under the jurisdiction of the Common Council of the city of Greencastle. Whereas there is a public alleyway which runs from Main Street toward Bloomington Street between lots 3 and lots 1 and 2 in block 6 of the depot enlargement in the city of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana. See attached site map. Said alleyway is not used for service or through traffic and is in poor condition. Whereas the petitioner requests that the city of Greencastle vacate the above described alleyway and that the adjacent landowners own the property to the center line of the alleyway. Whereas a list of the abutting or nearby landowners to the public way to be vacated is attached hereto and made a part hereof. Whereas all of the public way is to be vacated lies wholly within the jurisdiction of the Common Council of the city of Greencastle, Indiana. Whereas the adjoining property owners have consented or have been notified pursuant to statute as to the vacation of the right-of-way, and whereas the Common Council of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, after holding a public hearing April 8, 2021, has determined that closing of the following described public ways is in the public and economic interest of the City of Greencastle. Such closing will not unreasonably interfere with the flow of traffic on the City of Greencastle road system, that the relief requested in said petition should be granted, and that the portions of the public rights of way located in the city of Greencastle, Indiana, should be vacated. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the city of Greencastle, Indiana, that the portions of the public rights of way located in the city of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana, and more particularly described as follows: a public alleyway which runs from Main Street toward Bloomington Street between lots 3 and lots 1 and 2 in block 6 of the depot enlargement in the city of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana. See attached site map. Is hereby vacated as a public alleyway of the city of Greencastle, Putnam County, Indiana, and that such lands shall cease to be a public street, right-of-way, or alleyway, and that title to such vacated land shall revert pursuant to law to the adjoining property owners to the middle of the alleyway. The city of Greencastle shall retain a perpetual easement in the vacated right-of-way toward, together with the right to erect, lay, construct, inspect, repair, remove, or replace water lines, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, and other municipal utilities in said vacated right-of-way with modern equipment. No permanent structure may be constructed upon said easement without the written permission of the city. This ordinance shall have full force and effect upon passage of the Greencastle Common Council and its approval by the mayor.
All right, we've had a public hearing. Do we have any more questions Comments, concerns?
I just want to say thank you for including the copious amount of detail in our documents, including the 1852, or a copy of the 1852 depot enlargement document.
That information was prepared by the petitioner's legal counsel, so.
Okay.
And this was my first alley vacation, so I appreciate you answering all my questions when I called you up about that. So that was great. I appreciate it.
A couple of years ago, we we cleaned up a whole bunch of them. So we haven't done as many recently, but they still pop up with some regularity.
We actually like to,
Yeah, I was going to say.
if we're not using them, we like to vacate them. They're an expense and liability. And
They just kind of pop up every now and then.
My wife tells me that these can turn out to be kind of controversial.
We had one that I remember.
Obviously, in this case, that's not the case, but.
I think I remember one where there was some. Yeah, we're going that way. Yeah. I think I remember one.
it only becomes a problem if you're limiting someone's ingress and egress to their property. Or sometimes people have built
Sheds and stuff.
sheds over them. And
They don't realize it's an alley.
Well, one concern that I think might come into play would be if somehow, some way that restriction for fire access or other emergency access might be challenged. But
Actually, that has come up when they built sheds, which is why we don't allow people to build on it. But in this case, we got a nice, simple one for you to start with. Do we have a motion in a second? Did I miss that? Do you have a motion?
I move that we approve the ordinance as read by Scott.
Okay. It's 2021-7. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, we need to now move on to review and approve the RDC annual report. Linda has offered to do that. I also know that Stacy was at the meeting the other night.
Dave was at the meeting also.
And Dave was at the meeting the other night. Sorry, Dave. I knew that. I just blanked.
It's okay.
So it's an annual requirement that we have to file out on Gateway the financial information from our redevelopment commission, along with other information like what we do and things like that. So the mayor prepared this. I don't know if you realize it, but the clerk treasurer is the acting treasurer for the redevelopment commission. So these are numbers that I provided to the mayor. So basically, what we need tonight is for you to make a motion that you approve what has been presented to you, that you reviewed it, and then by April the 15th, which is approaching quickly, I will have this put into the Gateway system and reported out there for this.
Dave, do you want to make any additional comments on this?
No, I've been through it and looks fine to me.
Stacy?
Nope.
Anybody else? And then we'll entertain a motion.
One thing I do like, it says the commission has over 15 million in projects and plan to do the pay-as-you-go basis. I think that's good, and I'm glad that that is our approach with this.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Greencastle Redevelopment Commission annual report for calendar year 2020.
And again, I don't want to rush things, so if people have questions, you should feel free. Do we have a second? No second? I need a second.
I'll be glad to say.
Y'all were lauding the report. Please, second.
I usually try not to when I'm up, at least when I've been running, I try not to make the motion in seconds. I don't know why. Again, do people have questions or concerns? Okay.
Looked good.
All those in favor of approving the review, is that the right language, Lori? Close enough?
what's that?
What do I need to?
We're approving the RDC annual report.
It said review, and so I'm sorry.
Oh, review.
I didn't
Approving
understand what you were saying.
Approving the
I was
RDC
listening,
annual report.
I just didn't understand.
Approving the RDC annual report.
Yes,
Please
yes.
signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Fantastic. Okay, we're going to go back to Linda for ordinance 2021-8.
So I'm going to read it to you very quickly here. So ordinance 2021-8, an ordinance amending ordinance 2020-7, an ordinance establishing the size of the departments of the city government of the City of Greencastle, Indiana, fixing salaries for the employees of such departments and fixing the salaries of certain other appointed officials for the year 2021. Section 10, that the utility department shall consist up to 19 full-time members, 2 part-time members, and 1 summer intern. Utility summer intern from May to August at the rate of $15 an hour, and then the appropriate signatures. So, at the utility department, we have been approached and asked. We have a very qualified summer intern. I believe she goes to Purdue, and she is studying water, is her major, plus I think some wastewater. It's a program that they have at Purdue. She would like to have a summer intern position at the City of Greencastle, and we would like to hire her to do that during the summer months of May through August. So that was not an item that is on our salary ordinance, so we have to amend it and put it on for that to happen. She will work very closely with one of our WT5s, and she will also do some lab work and things like that that relate to what they have to test water and sewage and things like that. So we have the funds for that to happen, because one of the areas we are scaling back here at the utility department, where we're just mainly going to have 1 employee working here in a utility office here at City Hall, which we've had 2.5 employees. So since we just are down to 1 employee, we've got funds there. And with that, I will also say that our way of taking bills here and payments is going to make a major transition, because we're going to go to where you're going to be able to start paying online. So that's yet to come, but that will start happening soon. So I think a lot of people in the community and even councilmen here online will be glad to see that happening. So that is in the works, and I anticipate that happening within the next 6 weeks.
Nice.
But that's how we can fund this summer intern. So we do have the funding to do that.
Education for her, but it'll be interesting to see what she comes up with the time she's spending here.
Right. So it could be it's kind of a win-win situation for all.
I move that ordinance 2021-8, an ordinance amending salary ordinance 2020-7, be approved.
Second.
Okay, any other questions? Discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? All right, now we're going to the request for proposal for the construction management for the community center. And we didn't really talk about who is going to talk about this. Lori is.
Okay.
If I had to bet, I would say Lori was going to talk about it.
Okay, so I think Bill wanted this to be on the agenda as an update for everyone to know where we are on the project. Redevelopment Commission will be sending out a request for proposal. I anticipate very soon, and very soon I mean in the next couple of weeks. Request for proposal for construction management. It's a CMC, construction manager as contractor. And this is something that the city has not done. I was talking to Jake about it earlier. It's been used for many years for universities and schools and places, non-for-profits and other groups, but it was expanded to municipalities not too long ago. And so municipalities are now doing that, and it's been very successful. So we have the RFP ready to go, asking, and RFPs, rather than just taking the low bid, the advantage to this is you're not taking just the low bid. You're looking at other factors such as experience of not just the company, but experience of the personnel that are actually going to be working on the project that's specific to Greencastle, and Price, and their history of meeting projects on time and on budget and things like that. So you're looking at the contractor as a whole. And so that's where we are. We'll be going out to bid. It will be out to bid for almost roughly a month. And it'll be publicly, I say out to bid, but out for proposals, I'm sorry. It'll be advertised in the newspaper, and then we're going to request that the top two, probably the top two, unless, it depends on the proposals that we receive, come in and make presentations to a committee, and then those will be reviewed and the top contractor will be chosen. So I believe you've seen drafts of all the documents that we will be using, and from that point, then, I don't know how much more detail you want me to give, but from that point, I'll just give you the brief overview, so since people are going to be watching. That group then works with the architect, and they work on the engineering and the plans of the building and the structure and the layout. And it's so successful because that group usually, I mean, it's been very successful in other groups, in other places, because they work with the architect to keep the prices down and to find ways, economies of scale, and it's been very economically advantageous to the entities that are hiring these contractors this way. So they put together the specs. The contractor then goes out to bid. We don't do that, but they have to follow all the state laws that we would have to follow as far as procurement and public bidding. Then we get a guaranteed maximum price, and we are not locked in at this point of doing the actual construction until they give us a guaranteed maximum price of what this building will cost. Then everybody knows where we are. At that point, the leases that have been prepared for the hospital and the YMCA, that's when everybody will be signing all of those, because everyone will then know what the dollar figures are going to be. So does that make sense? Yeah.
2 questions.
Yep.
When we get these construction management companies, we narrow it down to 2, and they come in and they present it to a committee.
Yeah.
Who's on that committee, and can someone from the city council sit in on that meeting, or who's sitting in on that meeting?
Well, it's anticipated that I'm speaking.
I know you're.
I can't speak on behalf of the mayor.
Right.
But
in your opinion,
our discussions have been that there would be somebody from city council, somebody from redevelopment.
Good. Okay.
Somebody from the hospital, and somebody from the Y. At least one person from each group, at least, maybe more.
Okay. And I know you don't necessarily know the answer, but you laid out 5 different steps. And are we talking 3 months? Are we talking 3 years? Do you have any idea what our timeline is?
I don't know how long it will take the engineer, because that's not my area, engineering and architecture and all that. I couldn't even begin to tell you, because I don't want to get it wrong and have false expectations. But the preliminary engineering has been done. I think it's fair to say preliminary engineering. I don't think I'm using the wrong technical term. But the schematic has been done, and a lot of the basic engineering or architect or the plans for have been completed. So, but it will take a while to get the bids, because they'll have to do all the specifications for everything that goes in there, including countertops and lighting and wiring and the telephone system and everything. So that will take some time to design all of that, and But the basics have already been done. And we're working with an architect that has done a number of YMCA's before.
Presumably we'll have a CMC who also has Y experience.
Presumably.
Hopefully.
Well, that's in our bid packet that we have requested somebody, I should say our proposal. I'm sorry, I keep saying bid. Our proposal, that's the way I've always done things.
RFP.
That we have asked for someone with prior experience with YMCA's and with hospitals. So.
And they're still looking at the floor plans from 2 years ago with maybe some tweaks? Is that kind of the basic?
Generally.
Okay.
Generally, yes. Yes, I think they've discussed a lot about taking this section and putting it at here, but generally, yes.
Okay.
The concept is the same.
Good.
Would it be a good idea, I'm asking out loud, to have at some point a joint meeting of RDC and the City Council to look at the lease and the joint operating agreements? Because I'm already getting some feedback on aspects of the Y and what it looks like and components to it. This is RDC's decision, but I assume they'd like to go forward with council support.
Oh, I'm sure they would.
Our questions, or the questions that we're being asked.
Yeah. I'm sure they would.
Best, I think.
And I'm sure not to be a Debbie Downer here, but we are going to have to manage some expectations. As someone who was involved in this a number of years ago and now is not
20,
as involved.
25?
No, I was involved. I feel like I've been involved for 20 years.
You have been involved 20
But
years.
my point being, as I stepped back about 4 or 5 years ago, is we have to have some people have realistic expectations in what a town like us can afford, what we can afford to build, and what we can afford to maintain. And, you know, this isn't, we can't afford to do the downtown YMCA of Indianapolis, for instance. And that doesn't mean we can't have a great building that serves the needs of our community and takes care of and fills in a lot of gaps, which it will, but we also have to be realistic in what a final product is going to look like. And what we, most importantly, what we can afford the final product to look like. So it stays open and happy.
Just a general question, Lori, and I don't know, is there a timeline, kind of piggybacking a little bit off of Stacy, is there a little bit of indication as to when the public can expect to maybe be re-engaged with the process? Is that something that, is expected after we receive these RFPs? Is that something the public could be a part of if they're interested in it? Just trying to understand when we can, once again, because my understanding is it's been now a number of years since we've had a kind of a public update on this process, which I think is important. I think there's interest from a lot of different parties in that. I just don't know through your conversations, and maybe the mayor would be better to answer that, but
Yeah,
I think it's something to have in really not the back of our head, but the front of our heads as to when can we re-engage with our public on this.
Well, I've been a proponent all along of having as much public input as we can. The mayor was putting together a timeline at one point, and so I don't think it's complete yet. He was waiting to hear back from one of the parties. So, but
The mayor did tell me, and I don't want to speak for him, he did tell me they were going to reintroduce it in some fashion. I think it's not where we can go back and start the process over fashion,
Right.
but at least reintroduce the building and the scope of the building in some type of public hearing or forum.
And that's why I'd like us to have have questions about the lease, which involves the design, have those resolved, whatever issues have come to the fore, so you can take a concrete thing to the public to get their reaction.
Well, a lot of those things aren't going to be resolved until the design work is done. And the architect and the contractor will be working with and it's written that way, will be working with both the hospital and the YMCA and us. Obviously, we're the ones who they're contracted with, but they're also to consider those input from those two parties. So at this point, there's not, I don't know that now is the time to do that part, but as far as public engagement, of course, I think any time is a good time. But I know they're going to have preliminary plans. I mean, that would be a good time. They're also going to be doing fundraising for some of the equipment and also an endowment and maybe I believe some scholarship, some money to help people who can't afford memberships. I think there's going to be some fundraising that's being done from a different committee from the YMCA, so that will be another time where we'll want to have a lot of public input and a lot of public involvement. But yeah, I'm all for that, Jacob.
What do you need from us tonight from this? This isn't an ordinance, this isn't a...
Nope, this is just, I assume that the council had asked questions and wanted to know where we were, so this was to bring everyone up to date on where we are, but we are ready to send out the RFP now.
And you don't need our approval tonight to send that out?
No, that's redevelopment.
Okay, just making sure that we didn't need a motion here.
Yeah.
Are we good, or do we want...
But if anybody had any issues with anything that they've read, the RFP, anything in there, please let me know as soon as possible. That's why I want as much involvement and as much input as possible. I appreciate.
I do think we could have some success when we launch a fundraising campaign. I think if people knew more about the project,
I agree.
There are generous people in our community that I think would step up and want to be a part of this room or want to be a part of this area. But if we keep them in the dark, I think we got to find a way to bring them in and have them be a part of this process.
I agree with you 100%.
Have ownership in it. Okay, we're moving on to the last item, but I realized in council reports I left something out the mayor wanted me to mention. So if we don't adjourn, I will do it under new business and at least update you. So please don't adjourn after city council scholarships. Traditionally, the city council has given a scholarship to a deserving high school senior. Mike Rokicki Scholarship, as many people know it. It is a scholarship from all of us that we contribute to. In recent years, the mayor and Linda have also contributed to it. One of us gets the pleasure of showing up to give the scholarship, and we can talk about who would like to do that. It really comes down to a matter of who is free at the time of the thing. But in order to give the scholarship, we need everybody to donate. And Dave, I'm looking at you for the amount that we did, or Stacy last year. We asked
I think it was $1,800, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we asked each council person for 200 each? Okay, 200 each.
Wow.
But you could give more if you wanted to, I think was the conversation.
And Linda's son was a recipient of that.
And
that was a huge honor.
And for the record, we do not select the recipient. We have nothing to do.
The school does.
The schools do. It's gone to some very deserving young men and women over the years. In order to donate it, the money actually is given to the Putnam County Foundation. Checks are made out to the City Council Scholarship. And
on the memo line, yep.
Yep, on the memo line. The check goes to the City Council Scholarship. Actually, as president of the council, Mark Hammer gets the financial reports.
And Mike Rokicki was on the council.
Yes.
And incredibly involved in the community in so many ways. In fact, the Ivy Tech campus, I look at Jake, if you look at the wall over there, that land was donated, and it's the Rokicki Ivy Tech campus.
We have younger people now probably don't know Mike. For a while, every kid in Greencastle who played any youth sport wore a Mike Rokicki Insurance Company t-shirt. He was an umpire for years, donated time as an umpire, very, very involved in the youth of our community, died at an age too young. But, and then his wife, Phyllis, served on council for a number of years. And she was also co-owner of, what was the store on the square?
Bright Futures.
Bright Futures on the square. So family that's been very involved. Ivy Tech sits on the Mike Rokicki campus. So somebody who's been great. So that's just the council to make those checks. It's not a requirement.
And if you do go online to pay, you select the Michael Rokicki Memorial City Council Scholarship Fund.
Correct.
Don't confuse that with the Rokicki Foundation Fund, who are also deserving, but, we want to give it to the city council.
And I should have reported this under reports, but the mayor and I did not somehow connect on this. The mayor, myself, and DePaul had a very poignant meeting, but a good meeting to discuss the parking lot south of the Lilly Center. Expect, in the effort of transparency, we had signed a memorandum of understanding for that parking lot pre-pandemic. Expect something in the next couple months that will kind of amend it, and I think will bring that parking lot to a reasonable resolution on, not parking lot, the gravel lot, to a reasonable resolution.
Staging ground, right?
Huh?
It's a staging ground.
Staging ground, bring a reasonable resolution, hopefully to all parties, but for people new to council, they might want to locate the original MOU and just become familiar with it, because we will be making some changes, substantive changes to it.
If you don't have it, I can give you a copy of it. It's pretty long.
It's very long, but I want to commend Lori, because she put things in there that I never would have thought of that are really helping us find good common ground to resolve this. And I know it sits on the corner of your district, so if you want to talk to me at some point in private, we can go over all the great details. With that, unless there's any other new business, I want to point out what time it is.
Well done, Adam Cohen. Well
Mark, if
done.
you're out there
Yep.
listening, it is 8:20 and light outside. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I guess the rest of us are staying here. I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody adjourned? Anybody abstaining? If not, we stand adjourned.
Thank you. We had a lot of business.